I'm back. We're back with Raging Loop, so we're picking up right where we left off. Excuse me. Remember, if you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Hopefully we can figure out more of what is going on. I'm curious for this mystery to start unraveling here. But anyway. I looked at the van and became completely awestruck. It felt like the van had shed its skin or something. That made no sense, but seriously, how did this fit in there? Oh. He was gigantuan. Takumi-san was something, but this man was on the level of a foreign heavyweight wrestler. Though, unlike Takumi-san, this man was primarily fat rather than muscle. As he walked out of the driver's seat, the van shook wildly. 写真家の橋本雄大さんよ。こちらは私よりもっとずっと有名。オールラウンドでご活躍中で、写真はきっと気づかないうちに何枚か目にしてるはずよ。I didn't know much about photography, but I was definitely convinced. There was a certain kind of authority, or gravity, around him. He wasn't saying a word, and I couldn't tell what he was thinking.
どうもはじめまして。久石春明です。
What? Excuse me, was he even alive? After a strange pause, he slowly bowed like the moving mountain he was and greeted me with a voice like a titan. He seemed somewhat difficult to interact with. I'm drinking tea today because I'm out of coffee. Olive さんが秘蔵の獅子慣れを開けてくださるってことなので、よその人に耐えられるかな。まあ、胃薬も持ってきてるから大丈夫でしょ。And so, Mayumi Hashimoto-shi walked off to the dining hall. Who would have thought that such a beauty was a delicacy hunter? I had to admit that gap was kind of charming. As intrigued as I was, I couldn't waste any more time. I had to fix my bike already. Whoa! A lot of things had surprised me here in Yasumizu, but nothing as much as this.
Moshi-moshi?
Mushi-mushi. No reaction. At first glance, he looked like a poor man, too senile to think and perceive properly.
何かご用ですか?
ご用ですか? I made sure to speak as clearly as possible. It didn't look like he understood. Oh. I figured it was best to just ignore him and resume the repairs, but I looked at him again. He was still just standing there like his soul and brain had left his body. A vacant stare, yellowed eyes, half-open mouth covered in saliva. He spoke again.
何が来るんです?
What? His voice was too hoarse to make out.
何ですって?
I placed my hand against my ear. He finally understood what I wanted and prepared to whisper something. I brought my ear closer and... The sudden shout caught me completely off guard and made me fall to the ground. He looked down at me laughing. He clapped and opened his half-toothless mouth into a wide smile. I like him, he's fun. He bent his body in a weird way, laughed like he was convulsing, turned around, and just left. Shimi had joined the journalists and only just came back, sorry.
おじいちゃん、知らない人にはああやっていたずらするんだよ。
え、あれ、ちえみちゃんの？
いやいや、本名は知らないんだ。昔から休みずにいるおじいちゃんだけど、昔からあんな感じ。
ボケてるというか、ちょっとおかしいのか、あの人。
This is funny. Just messing around. It felt less like he was just messing around and more like he's a bit touched.
みんな狼じじいって呼んでるけどね。
Oh, like the story. Named after the boy who cried wolf, I assume? Doesn't work as well, though.
狼ね。
As far as I knew, there were no wild wolves in Japan. There used to be, but after the last sighting in either the Meiji or Showa era, they've been considered extinct here. Oh, that's sad. Modern Japan's image of wolves came from Western fairy tales and the like. It wasn't linked to anything in our culture or life. Even The Boy Who Cried Wolf was a Western tale. Did his brand of insanity make him repeat the tale or something? A bit weirded out by the circumstances, I went back to repairing my bike. After a bit more time, I somehow took off the rubber from the tires and removed the tubes. Oh, so there are tubes? Both tires were pierced by some really rusty nails. Fuck, this kind of stuff only happened at the worst of times. Then I applied the patches and filled them with air using a manual pump. I wet the tubes. There were no bubbles, meaning no air was leaving them. Things were looking good. After the high schoolers came back from school and passed by, no one else stopped to talk. Shimi was looking a bit bored now.
なんとかなりそうかも。
嘘。あんなにダメっぽかったのに。
悪かったね。まあ、これを組み立て直すって大仕事が残ってるけど。
それが終わったら出発できそう？
そうだね。長居するとまずそうなのはよくわかったし。
そう、よかった。
She didn't seem to care that much. Guess I had no chance with her, huh?
もう何時間も缶を詰めっぱなしでしょ？大丈夫？疲れてない？
昼食休憩の機会が誰かさんに奪われたこともあってね。
Yeah, eating my
に
food.
クラッカーをあげたじゃないですか。
What's that gonna do? Like, that was enough to state a guy in his mid-20s.
まあ、僕は大丈夫。もう一頑張りする。君ももう行っていいよ。大体の人とは顔合わせしたような気がするし。
多分あと2人会ってない人がいるかな。
Really? Well, there was no real need to, right?
もうちょっといるよ。どうせ暇だから帰ってきたわけだし、することもないし。
I feel like she's actually just like keeping watch on me, like
52
looking
人の
out
男
for me.
友達と遊ぶ選択肢はなかったの？
Yeah, that's right. I'm number 53, so yeah, go find them.
前言撤回。暇したいから帰ってきたの。 町暮らしは面倒も多くて、52人からのメール攻めとかさ。
そっか。
ごめん、52人は嘘。
なんでそんな嘘を。
春明さんに対する牽制？
Why would she pull a tactic like that only to reveal her hand?
ねえ、彼女に振られたって本当？
And now she asks me that.
本当だって。
そっか。
Well, after that relentless assault, it wouldn't be fair unless I played my own card.
なんならこれ乗っていく？
これって2人乗りなんだ。
もちろん。一応タンデム用のヘルメットも吊るしてきてるし、まだ乾いてないけど。僕はこのままここを出ていくから、その便でちえみちゃんも外に出るのが都合良ければってことになるけど、ついでにロングツーリングしてみる？時間さえあればどこへだって行くよ。
Flexible, open to fine-tuning, wild, and charming. This was a good date invitation if I said so myself.
いいね、素敵。都合、問題ないよ。
Oh? That's what I was saying.
じゃあ、荷物まとめてくるね。
Right now? I thought I wasn't done fixing the bike. Shimi smiled and turned around to head to her place. She then looked back at me and...
急いだ方がいいよ。ちえみさんの気が変わらないうちにね。
はいはい、もちろん。
Well, that made me motivated. This was one tiring trip, but at least I met someone good along the way. I'd just forget everything I didn't want to remember while on the road with her. I could only hope that clever girl and I would eventually grow closer. With that ulterior motive in mind, I resumed rebuilding the bike. After several failed attempts, I was finally making some good progress putting the bike back together. Afternoon had passed and it was almost evening. At the rate I was going, I'd definitely be working while it was dark. Would that even be possible? It might be way past midnight by the time I was done. Chimi might dump me for that. Man, life sure was hard. The plaza I'd worked in was now totally empty. There was no one around me. All I could hear was the wind, the frogs, and the tools in my hands. It was desolate, to say the least. I suddenly felt really weak. It made me keenly aware of being in a place I didn't belong, and that I was preparing to escape. It was an oppressive atmosphere, like the bars of a cage were slowly swinging shut. What's this? Haruaki? Think you're going to get attacked or something? I tried to laugh it off, but it didn't work. As I became more conscious of my surroundings, I began to hear things I hadn't noticed before. Dun dun dun. I heard a voice. Someone was singing. It was an inarticulate little girl's voice, the one that was there a couple days before me. I stopped my work. Before I knew it, I'd put my tools down and gone looking for the source. Was I that starved for human presence? Or did the malaise make me feel like I was in danger? I walked down the hill to where the song came from. Passing the tall grass, I arrived. It was a strange sight. The field was covered in tall grass. There were countless rocks peeking out of it. Unlike the boulders all over Yazumi Zoo, These were only up to my waist. They looked like gravestones.
いついつクジラも斜めに走る
Kind of creepy. The field extended into the dusk western sky before ending at a cliff. This was the lowest spot in Yazumi Zoo, the border to Serang. Sarah. Okay, Sarah. There is a large pine right at the edge.
嵐を見と毛が生えり
Oh, it's so creepy. I don't like it. The evening sun, the stones, and the pine shadow gave the field a strange aura. A little girl was running through it. Her steps were awkward. At this moment, the space was alien. I felt like I was looking at a Giorgio de Chirico painting. The place felt like it didn't belong in this world. Suddenly, I came to understand that this place was special. It was a sacred, mystical ground where no outsiders were welcome. The girl fell.
大丈夫?
Run to with no hesitation, the little girl. Help up, half crying little girl, muddy clothes, new graze on band-aid covered. What, is this like choices I'm supposed to be making? Oh no. I'm pushing the button, but it's not doing anything. Console little girl. Push away, run. Someone. What is this? Appears. Girl. Saw once. Me.
夕霧立てば
Prepare for the feast when the evening mist arrives. Girl, weave incomprehensible phrase. Hide behind little girl. Fear and hostility eyes. What is this? I don't get that. Girl, hug little girl. Warn. Me?
間に合わないでしょうけどでも逃げて
Me, girl, behind. Me, girl, behind, mist. Mist, mist. Me, girl, behind, mist, mist. Mist, mist. Mist, 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 mist. Me, girl, behind, mist, 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 mist. Mist, mist, mist. Me. Turn around. Run. Where? What was that? That was weird. In a daze, I came back to the plaza. Suddenly, Chimi shook me, bringing me back to my senses.
どこへ行ってたの
ごめん。すぐ作業に戻るから。
何言ってるのもうダメ間に合わない春秋さんも隠れて
What's happening? I couldn't understand what she was getting at.
何やってんだチーミーとっとと部屋に戻れ
でも春秋さんが
ほっとけそんなよそ者俺はおやっさんと他の連中んち回るから絶対戻れよチーミー
I couldn't understand. What were these two doing? What scared them so much? It didn't take long for me to find out. Oh my god, what's happening? I looked down the hill. From Sarah, beyond the field I'd just been in, came a rising haze. It was so dense you could easily call it mist. It moved strangely, like a living creature, as it flowed into the plaza. Chimi pulled me by the hand.
何がなんだか頭がなんだ頭が重いな。
今は我慢して。どこか鍵のかかるところに一人で入るの。出ないと死んじゃう。
どういうことなの？理由を。
お願い、春明さん。今だけは言うことを聞いて。
Albeit hesitantly, I did as she said. We ran up the hill and crossed the rice field path until we made it to a simple outhouse.
ここならなんとか。
本当、何事なんだ？確かにすごい霧だけど、そんな慌てることじゃ。
いい？春明さん。詳しく説明してる時間はない。だから、お願いだから、今から言うことを絶対に守って。今から一晩、ここに入って、鍵をかけて、絶対に物音一つ立てないで。
My mind was pretty clear by this point, so much so that I began to wonder why it was clouded until now. Because of that, I could easily understand exactly what Chimi just said, despite how weird it was. I could also see she was really desperate. Okay, so I can't do this other one. Darn. Hide in the outhouse.
またとんでもない指示が来たもんだ。
春明さん。
言っとくけど、相当な無茶ぶりだからね。ノルマクリアの暁には相当な見返りと説明を要求するから。
うん、いいよ。全部話す。だから今晩を生き延びて。
The words, the teary smile, none of it looked fake.
じゃあね。君も急ぐんでしょ？
うん。それじゃ、春明さん。
何？
明日言うから。
Leaving me one hell of a homework assignment, Chimi ran off. The plaza was covered in a mist by now. I could see it rising to take over the fields, too. Anyway, a promise was a promise. 10 minutes later, I began to wonder what I was doing. Was I really supposed to spend the night here? This outhouse wasn't like a prefab you'd find in construction sites. It was just a shack built by hand. It merely happened to have a toilet unit installed. It was Japanese style, so I couldn't even sit down. Oh no, is that like the one with the hole in the floor? Ooh. All I could do was stand. Oh, that would suck. Another problem. It was the type of toilet that periodically had to be pumped empty, so the smell was really bad. Oh no! Sure, there was a cover on the toilet unit, but without any kind of air freshener anywhere, the smell of ammonia could only do so much. The only good thing about being here was that if I had to go to the toilet, well, mission complete. But what of it? Again, was I really supposed to spend the night here? The question quickly made me realize how stupid this was, and I began making assumptions to make this easier for myself. Was I being pranked, or was everyone here just crazy? Hell, mist had already filled the surroundings, and there was no way that this shabby outhouse protected me from it. The air here already felt misty and damp. The temperature here was low, so I could still bear it somewhat. but staying here all night would make me all wet. Again, I wasn't safe from the mist here. That considered, I'd probably be better off sleeping in the grass outside than staying here. The reasonable part of my mind urged me to stop playing along with these hicks. However,
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで。うん、いいよ。全部話す。だから今晩を生き延びて。
My sense of duty made it hard for me to break the promise I'd made to her. Actually, that wasn't quite true. I was more intrigued by the prospect of learning more about this place. Anyway, I took the time to compile what I'd found out today. This was the Yazumi settlement, a special part of Fujiyoshi. It was situated right next to the Sero Rapids. The people living here were Shimi Shirazawa, Yasunya Oribe, his family, Kaori Oribe, and Yoshitsuga Oribe, Chikimochi Kamoshida, Haru Makishima, her granddad Kanzu Makishima, Tei Yamawaki, Takumi Muro, Kiranosuke Nosato. It seemed like he was from Kamifujiyoshi, the place on the other side of the mountain, but for some reason he lived here now. And finally, the old man who cried wolf. Those were the 11 people I'd met, and Chimi said I had 2 more left. That could only mean that the 2 I'd met by the pine were the ones. A little girl, she was probably the child that strayed into the Sarah yesterday morning. And there was the fantastical-looking white-haired woman clad in strange clothing. She was probably the one I'd seen in the morning. The fact I'd seen her twice made it likely that she was indeed real. But with how mysterious this place was, I couldn't rule out the possibility that she was an illusion. According to Chimi, the little girl was being looked after by someone in the village, so I could only assume that the white-haired woman was the one. If I counted the little girl, it would mean that Yasumizu had 13 inhabitants. Then there were the 2 journalists, Hisako Maima and Yutai Hamashido. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the names. Add me to that and you had a total of 3 outsiders. But I'd put that aside for now. Anyway, time for an assessment. Yesterday morning, the little girl strayed into Sarah. To make it worse, no one, not even herself, knew anything about her. She instantly got branded as an ill omen. The next day, Chimi, who was in Sarah for some reason, found me there. They recognized me as a proper lost person, but since I came through Sarah, I was also branded as an ill omen. From what Kinosuke Nosato she said, it was safe to assume that it used to be customary to throw people like us into Sarah. And then there was the mist. The girl said something mysterious. Prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive. I can only assume it was related to the same superstitions. After all, the mist came from Sarah itself. It and the river seemed to be central to the local customs and ideas. With that in mind, how was it dangerous and what was going to happen now? Yomi Bitu, as in people from Yomi, the ancient Japanese land of the dead? Dead people came back through Sarah, and they were corrupted. Well, that gave room for some wild ideas. Was there some sort of pathogen in Sarah that rose up with the mist? Did it turn people into zombies? Was I about to be a part of a Japanese Resident Evil? Wait, that was already Japanese. What if you had a 10% chance to be infected by the mist, but a 100% chance to be infected by another person? That explained why everyone had to isolate themselves like this. If I became a zombie, I probably wouldn't have the mind to unlock the door. So basically, by locking myself in here, I was quarantining myself. I hadn't put all that much thought into that, but that seemed like a good story. Sure, stuff like the boulders and the wolves didn't fit anywhere into my idea, but it was still interesting. Then again, I knew this was Hicksville and all, but would a superstition that science could explain so easily really survive the modern world? It seems so weird.
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで。
Don't make a sound? To be frank, the reason why I spent so much time on these delusions was because I was scared of things I didn't know or understand. In the past, people used to attribute stuff like natural phenomena and diseases to gods, devils, yokai, and then do nothing but fear them. They were scared of these manifestations of monsters and whatnot. But, on the other hand, it was better than not seeing or not knowing what they really were. The fact that you could die to things you couldn't see or understand made life really unreasonable and unfair. That was why it was very logical to give things names and mental images in order to recognize and memorize them. My fear of things I didn't know was the same, except I wasn't satisfied with just labels or hypotheses. I needed to reach the truth. That aside, what I was feeling right now wasn't a fear of the unknown. It was a realistic, practical fear of something that could endanger my life.
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで。
That meant that outside lurks something dangerous that could hear sounds. Perhaps it was the so-called dead that rose up from the river. Or maybe, assuming I was right with my Sarah sickness theory, it was people who came out and beat the shit out of all the diseased who didn't follow the rules. The wolf is coming. Maybe the wolf was the title given to the killer? Suddenly, I heard a scream in the distance. Oh, I want these keys. Go out and take a look. Wow. That was some timing. Right as I was about to form a new hypothesis, the proof connecting it all suddenly came to me, and it was right outside. It had gotten really dark. There were no lights anywhere. The darkness was fear, unperceived, unknown, dangerous, scary. Leaving this place was dangerous. Dangerous, scary, 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 scary. Scary things were scary no matter how much logic you applied, but I couldn't discard my desire to get to know the fear and conquer it. I opened the door and stopped in place. Night was an absolute darkness. No matter how dark or cloudy it was, the sky always gave some bit of light to us. However, I came to understand that it could be hard to see even if there was light. Everything I saw was covered by a dense mist. Combined with the pale moonlight, it made the area seem milky. It made it hard to get around. Regardless, I couldn't ignore the scream. There was something beyond this veil. I kept moving forward. Unless my ears were deceiving me, the scream belonged to a woman and had come from the the right. I couldn't let myself think that. Or rather, I didn't want to think that. The unknown was scary. Personally, I found that principle made my life really easy. I had more than enough fear from those which were directly threatening my life. I really didn't want to have fear of losing someone as well. Change your line of thought, Haruaki. Solving the mystery might save someone. 2 birds with 1 stone. I began walking faster. Another scream. It was close. I realized I had to find a way to protect myself. I was unarmed, so I looked around for anything I could use as a weapon. I felt around to see if there were any branches or anything. Sadly, all I felt was grass. I went deeper and searched the ground itself. Soon, I felt something hard. It was a rock. A moment of digging later, I took it in hand. It was a bit smaller than my hand. I almost teared up at how useless it seemed, but it was better than nothing. I looked at the base of my feet and saw the grassy ground. I could easily move forward if I first checked the ground using my feet. And since I might have been close to the danger, I had to focus on what was ahead too. I'd recognize the danger and, if possible, get rid of it. I concentrated entirely on that and stepped forward. I couldn't hear the screams anymore, but I could hear other things. A wet sound. And the sound of something cracking. Oh no. It filled my mind with countless things I didn't want to imagine. Even so, I kept walking forward, until I saw it. Oh, my hypotheses were nothing but delusions. The truth was truly something you had to see yourself. But why? Why was this so scary in spite of being true? It wasn't supposed to exist. It couldn't exist. After all, it was a wolf with a humanoid body. And there's no such thing as werewolves. Or is there? The next morning, in a paddy field in Fujiyoshi, Yazumizu 3rd block, someone discovered a thoroughly mangled corpse. The clothes nearby led the discoverers to conclude that it was the traveler, Haruaki. No! Strangely enough, I could perceive this particular moment. And so I was finished off by the girl. The last thing I heard was that. What? Trophy earned example. I got a key. Obtained key 2. Werewolf and Resurrection. You can view this in the keys list. The route unlocked by this key is represented by the same number on the scenario chart. Game over. Bad ending number 2. What? Watch hint corner. What does that mean? I didn't make any choices. Hey there, you've done it now, eh, Chief?
俺のことはまあ気にすんな。取るに足らねえインターフェース的なキャラクターさ。ここは夢と夢の狭間。 妻子春明とかいう野郎には見えねえから、まあ安心してくつろぎな。つっても、あんま長っちりはできねえかな。俺は忙しいんだ。じゃっヒントコーナーにふさわしく、大将が困らねえように、ありがてえ助言をいくつかくれてやるぜ。
Well, I don't really need hints, I don't.
ゲーム的なあれこれを最初に、さっき、やっちまったと言ったが、実は大将が最初にここに来るのは確定事項だ。
Okay, so yeah, I figured because I didn't have any keys.
つうのも、選べる選択肢は一つしかなかったろ。その下は何か、鍵マークみてえなのが出て、選べなかったはずだ。おっと、
Yeah.
だからって、最初の芹沢千恵美とのうすらバカ問答を選び直しても無意味だぜ。あのどれを選んでも分岐はしねえ。チュートリアルでも道を解説したが、念のため、レイジングループの仕組みをおさらいしとくか。大将がさっき実際に食らった通り、なぜか、多くの選択肢はロックされていて、それを開くためには対応するキーが必要だからさ。キーはシナリオ中に散らばってる。手に入るときはだいたい
Oh,
命と引き
interesting.
換えさ。だから死は不可避ってわけだ。どうやら不妻子春明の野郎は死んでも記憶を次に持ち越せるらしいな。それを再現したシステムってわけだ。つうわけで、羊さんから大将への最初のアドバイスだ。数あるバッドエンドの中には、キーが手に入るものも多い。意外な結末からキーが手に入ることもあるだろうさ。もちろん全部のバッドエンドを見なくても必要なキーを集めて最短クリアすることは可能だ。ま、遊び方は任せるぜ。で、今回のバッドエンドに
Toilet man's end.
便所マンの最後についてだが、回避するにはキー2が必要だ。だが、次はもう問題ねえ。気づいてるか？ここで死んだ時すでに大将はキー2を入手してる。キー2の内容は、メニューの中にキーってボタンがあるから、そこで見てくれりゃいいんだが、要は、夜出歩いたら死ぬってことを、不妻子春明は身をもって知ったわけだ。この手の一度つまずく系の死亡エンドは、今後も何回かあっから、そこんとこは承知しといてくれな。一方、キーを手に入れるのがずっと先になることもある。キーが手に入るときは赤文字ででっかく表示されるから、今後も要注目だぜ。この後だが、不妻子春明は売り出しに戻る。つまり最初から読み直してもいいが、今後何十回も死ぬことになるから、その度に読み直してたら、だから、ある程度状況を把握したら、シナリオチャートを使って、ひょいっ大将が一度読み切ったシーンなら、いつでもどこでもどこからでもジャンプが可能だ。例えば今この瞬間でも、画面に出てるチャートボタンを押し、ノーム、ないの、
Oh.
シナリオチャートからのジャンプをガンガン活用するのが、レイジングループ攻略のコツかもな。ちなみにここまでで、2、ノームは終了。いわば小手調べ。今回解放された選択肢を選べば、いよいよ最初のメインルート。3、
That's interesting.
次にロックされた選択肢が出てきたら、右端の方を見てみな。開くために必要なキーの番号があるはずだ。番号はシナリオチャートにも表示される。どこがロックされてるのか。ちなみに、コス1が手に入るのはすっげえ先だ。取りこぼしとかじゃねえから安心して、サクサク次に進んでやってくれ。かー、ずいぶん長くなっちまった。つうわけで、 今回はここまで。次も元気に死んでこい。
That's interesting.
そういう夢だったってわけだ。次はもっとうまくやれ。羊が1匹、羊が2匹。
Red sheep, blue sheep. That's cool. Okay, yeah, so this is where I was talking about. Yeah, so I don't have that key yet, so chart. Could I make a choice here? I don't remember. No, I don't have key number 4. Don't have key 20. Don't have any of those. I have key 2 though. Okay, so suddenly we hear the scream. Alright, keep still. What was that? It sounded like someone's life was in danger. Hang on, I'm gonna get a snack real quick. Alright. It meant something dangerous was nearby. Wait, I couldn't be rash. The world didn't have many things that logic couldn't explain, like the existence of murderers. But until I saw the source of the scream myself, it was nothing but a source of fear.
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで。
I reached to open the door, but something stayed my hand. It was a bad idea to try and eat while reading. It was my promise to Chimi. But that scream just now was very real. It wasn't normal. I had to assume the situation was dangerous, and maybe I could help if I went out. That meant endangering myself. I was no saint, and I had no plans to rectify that. If there was something that could get me to walk out, it would be curiosity. My curiosity had won over many dangers thus far. But right now, it was weaker than my fear and risk of death. Why? Because I already knew. Shit, what the hell were these memories? It wasn't a premonition, a dream, or anything else that vague. My brain recognized it as something I'd experienced. But how? After all, I was still alive, and the time from those memories had yet to come. Was I a precog or something? By God, I swear I'd never experienced anything like this before coming here. And why did the memory come back to me at this particular moment? Regardless, that overwhelming fear and the pain and death that followed were exactly what waited for me if I opened the door. I couldn't feel more certain of that. The thoughts rendered me unable to move. Immobile. I stood still, completely certain that I'd lost my chance to leave. I wasn't childish enough to sneer at selfish decisions, but this still didn't feel good. Not to mention, I was upset at myself for not being able to act like me and just run out simply because I was curious. I didn't even feel saved. Until that moment. Suddenly, the door began to shake. This place had a handle on the outside, and someone was pulling on it hard. There was a lock, sure, but there was only so much it could take before it broke. I prepared to pull on it from inside, but
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで。
I'm so sorry, guys. I will save the rest of this for after, because it's slowing us down. What would happen if I did? Whatever was excuse me. Whatever was outside would instantly know I was here. Even if I protected the door, the thing had lots of other ways of hurting me. What if it didn't know about me? It was just weirded out by this randomly locked toilet. What if I didn't show a hint of fear to what it was doing? Would it just leave? I chose to just wait and see. Once again, someone pulled the door, shaking the structure as a whole. I gulped down a scream and focused on the lock. If it broke, it'd be over for me. Over, as in, I'd be dead. That was what that memory told me. I was powerless back then, and even more so now. Assuming I tried to fight back, what would work? I'd heard that teeth were the hardest part of the human body. So maybe I could bite? Yeah, I'd tear whatever it was apart with my teeth. I'd bite it to death. I gathered my wits and killing intent, grinding my teeth. I glared at the door. How long had it been? The sound suddenly stopped. For all I knew, it might have been a ploy to make me drop my guard. I'd slowly count to 500. If nothing happened in that time, I'd assume it went away. There were no screams or attacks after that. But the silence around me improved my perception, and I heard strange noises every now and then. Breathing, growling, claws on the ground. Basically, I felt a beastly presence. So that thing actually existed here? Was it what the mist brought here from Sarah? The wolf is coming. Did they all know about this? Shit, I couldn't learn anything in a place like this, and not knowing things scared me. Trusting my prescience, or deja vu, or whatever it was, I chose to just stay quiet and wait. I'd find out everything tomorrow. I just had to make it through the night and then talk to Chini. And if it was something I couldn't solve, I'd just run away. Thankfully, my bike repairs were going well, but I'd be leaving even if it didn't work. I'd walk to Kami Fujiyoshi if I had to. Unlike Yazumizu, they might have had reliable means of transport. For now, I just had to stay awake and make it through the night. Trophy earned, dawn. 5:13, Tuesday. I never like seeing night gradually turn brighter as the morning arrives. It always made me feel like shit, like I'd just done something harmful, both for my body and as a human being in general. I found it natural to spend the night asleep and welcome the morning well rested and with a smile. I never expected to feel so much gratitude for the morning light. leaking through the door of an outhouse. It felt like the beast had been out and about the whole night. Naturally, the high humidity here had made my clothes all wet and sticky. It was unpleasant, but even trying to move them and make it more comfortable for myself felt like a matter of life and death. Maybe it was a good thing I couldn't relax, but hell, it was exhausting in more ways than one. When I heard Chimi shout, Haruaki-san in the distance, I was so overcome with relief I almost fell to my knees. If this turned out to be a trick and I opened the door to see some wolf with a chewed collar in its mouth lunging for my throat, I'd just give up and let it have me at this point. With that in mind, I opened the door. I expected to see the same picturesque village I'd seen yesterday. So what I actually saw shocked me pretty hard. What the hell was up with this thick mist? I couldn't see shit. It was like the entire area was consumed by it. Did someone line every inch of this place with dry ice or something? I could hear Chimi, but not see her. I heard a wet sound and finally saw a silhouette within the mist. I walked up and saw exactly what I expected. A girl struggling to free one of her legs, stuck deep in the paddy field. I tugged her hand and braced my legs. That was enough to help her, but she lost her balance and... Despite how close we were now, this wasn't the least bit romantic. I definitely remembered a time where I was far from alright, though. I had no idea what that was about, so I didn't see any reason to mention it. Chimi's expression immediately darkened. She clearly knew what I was referring to. Sorry, I had a bear hair in my mouth. I think a bear hair. She fell silent, clearly uncomfortable. It was pretty ominous. Chimi gave me her hand. I took it, but I didn't feel the least bit excited about this. She led me down the path to the school dorm. Toilet man. Thank you. Can I eat more cookie now? Did she...
いえ、大丈夫です。まだ部屋なんですが、ちょっとショックが強かったみたいで。身支度。そうか。皆さん、僕より先に動いてたみたいだな。
逆によく耐えれたな。寝てたの？
寝られるか。いつ出ていいかわからないから、ずっと起きて待ってたよ。ちえみちゃんに呼ばれてようやく。
起きてたんですか
Yasunaga-kun made it sound like that was weird.
いや、あのトイレで寝てごらん。横になるどころか座れもしないぜ。
いや、そうじゃなく、そうか。
I really hate it when people just trail off like that. It makes me way too curious. Yeah, me too. Although I do it too. I
ちなみに君たちはなぜここに
I talk like that sometimes.
春ちゃん待ちと見張りだよ。
A lookout?
状況がはっきりするまで現場に誰も近づかないようにね。
Seen? So someone actually...
見る？ベンジョマンの胃袋の強度試し。
Well, I'm curious, yeah.
モッチー、あんまふざけるなよ。
ああ、見るよ。
The invisible and unknown were way scarier than anything else. Not to mention I could already smell something foul. I lightly moved them aside and walked up to the so-called scene. There was a corpse. It was in such a horrible state it was hard to recognize it as human. I imagine this was what you would have gotten if you overturned a butcher's cart. That was how thoroughly the victim was disassembled. Also, the butcher would have had to deal in entrails. Enough of that comparison. Straining my eyes to look through the thick mist, I could actually make out some human parts within the vast sea of blood or mountain of death. Hands, torn clothing, hair, and a shoulder bag. How professional. She kept hold of her interviewing tools even while running for her life. Didn't do her odds of survival any favors, so. Despite the body's state, it wasn't hard to tell that the victim was Hisaku Mayama, the small-time food journalist. That thing. Did it come to me once it was done murdering her?
これはひどい。
Makes me wonder if maybe the werewolf is someone in the village, because why it seems to be targeting the outsiders, right? I don't know.
大丈夫？吐き気。
Theory. Chimi was standing a short distance away, looking at nothing in particular.
吐くものもないし、まあ慣れてるんで。
I was gonna say my character, he must be starving. He's like not eaten anything except cup ramen yesterday morning.
春明さん、そっち系の学部だっけ？
まあ一応医学系。
え、すごい。検視とかできる？
医学系ってのは医学部以外の類似学部生が見え張って使う表現さ。まあ病理解剖なら何度か見たけど。
I crouched down and put my hands together. Then, grimacing at the harrowing reek of blood, innards, and especially digested food, I brought my face closer. Perhaps I could learn something from this. I could, even if it wasn't much. This corpse wasn't split into pieces. The limbs were still connected, but they were folded in an unnatural way and looked really flattened. They were either crushed or bent with no regard to bones or muscle position. Then, her whole body had been torn apart. The innards were particularly badly damaged. The words wolfed down felt like the best way to put it. I found it hard to describe. This wasn't my job, so there wasn't much I could tell about it without touching it.
何がどうなってるのかわからない程度には常軌を逸した傷だよね。
I had an urge to add that this seemed inhuman, but I kept myself from saying
と
that.
にかくとっとと警察を呼んで黒に任せよ
I said something any good citizen would, but for some reason they didn't seem to agree.
春明さん、警察は来ないんだ。
そんなことはないでしょう。人が死んでるんだし。
来ないんだ。
じゃあ避難しよ
う。それも無理なんだ。
どうして？バイクもあるし、この人たちが乗ってきた車だって。
とにかく不妻子さんで生存者は全員見つかったはずだから、一度食堂に移動しましょう。
はるちゃんは僕らが連れてくぞ。
そっちはお願い。春明さん、行こ
う。なあ、ちゃんと説明してくれないか？
悪いけど精神的に無理。自分で見て勝手に理解して。
She promised me. It was the first time Chini had acted so harsh with me. I was pretty irritated myself, but it must have been worse for them. They actually had info on what was happening here. Chimi said nothing more and just silently walked off. I followed after her. When we reached the plaza, I instantly understood what she'd said about evacuating. The bike and the van were both completely destroyed. So why didn't we all evacuate before this happened if they knew it was going to happen? The ladder was in a particularly bad state. The front window was broken, all four tires were flat, etc. My bike was on its side, its front fork was broken. Well, it was basically scrap metal now. Fuck. Why wouldn't they, tell me to hide the bike or... there was a rock right next to it. Guess we had our weapon. And there were more remains inside the van. It looked like an enormous mountain of flesh and bones. So that's the guy. See? They're going after outsiders. It's gotta be a villager. If I didn't know about Yuta Hashimoto-shi, I would have assumed there were 2 or 3 corpses here. Hashimoto-san? Oh. Chimi slowly nodded. I now knew we'd not lost only 2 lives, but any means of transportation as well. She pointed at a wooden electrical pole. The line was dangling, torn apart with no hope of repair.
よその電線は生きてるけど、食堂のは電話線ごとやられた。外には連絡できないよ。
Jeez. Alrighty, everybody, I am going to end this video here. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this. Things are starting to get interesting. We're finally starting to get, into the mystery. So thank you for joining, and remember to hit like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much. See you. Bye.